Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Carol Jenkins. The program is Black America. Our guest today is motivational speaker Sherry Graves, author of A Fire Within, a very moving memoir which describes her nearly dying in a fire that was deliberately set. She survived and had to deal with the scars, not only the visible ones, but those within. And thanks so much, Sherry, for being with us today. This story that you tell is so compelling and horrifying, really. I mean, with a tremendously good outcome. But we always start our show by asking our guests to place themselves in Black America, and you grew up in Brooklyn.
Well, first of all, I just want to thank you so much, Ms. Jenkins, for inviting me to be here today. It's definitely a blessing. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I come from a very close-knit family. I'm the third of 4 children. I have an older brother and a sister, and myself, and then my younger sister. And we were pretty much raised by our grandparents. We're from the Caribbean, and my mom traveled back and forth from New York to the Caribbean. I'm very happy to know that the community that we were born and raised in, although they had some other things going on in the area, there are a lot of positive things that are going on in there as well in that community.
Right, but your grandparents, did a very good job of raising you. I mean, the way you describe it in the book is, you're so close to your siblings, and I love the descriptions you use for your brother and your sisters. It's just, I mean, it feels so good.
Yeah, my grandparents did a very good job raising us. We were raised in the church. Mm-hmm. We were very close. We were raised with morals and values, and, they instilled in us to, do what's right. You know what I mean? Even though, like I said, we were raised in an area where there were a lot of things going on, they did the best job that they could to show us the right way to go.
Yeah, they did. And as I was telling you before, I've raised my kids now, but I have my grandchildren now. And looking at them, the same thing, you see these sweet faces, and you know that there is the possibility at any time for any one of them to make a wrong move. And you describe in your book of how in elementary school you began to, as I, in my grandmotherly way, say, go off the rails, but talk to us a little bit about how that began.
Yeah. I can remember as far back as the 6th grade, like my girlfriend and I skipping school. Back then we called it playing hooky from school. I don't know even where I knew about that from, but we started doing that, and that's when I started making one bad choice after the next. And that time of my life, when I look back at it now, is like that's where it all really began, as far as me going in the wrong direction.
So 6th grade, you're 12 years old, a friend of yours says, let's not go to school today. And what would you do in the 6th grade if you didn't go to school? Where would you go?
I'm not even sure that it was necessarily her suggesting for us to do it.
So you think it was you?
Sometimes.
You describe yourself as a very impulsive child.
Very impulsive and curious, I think I would choose that word.
Right.
And it wasn't like I was under any kind of peer pressure. It's just like being curious and wanting to get out there. I think the fact that my grandparents had us, they were very strict, and they kept a really tight leash on all of us. And so every opportunity that I got to like break out a little bit that's what I did.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So 12, you're playing hooky, and then you're beginning to experiment with smoking, and then marijuana, and then more serious drugs. So talk about the progression.
Yeah, 15 years old is around the age that I started experimenting with marijuana. And I did that for a couple of years before I got introduced to more powerful drugs, which was crack cocaine. One of my girlfriends actually introduced me to crack cocaine. And, some people ask me, well, Sherry, if she was your friend and the circumstances that can, happen as a result of using crack, why would she do that? And I'm like, I don't think she even knew the devastation that it would cause. Like, we were both just trying something, and we both got caught up in the crack epidemic, and it resulted in a life of horrible things that happened to both her as well as myself.
To both of you. And so do you think you seem to say that it was that your grandparents were so strict that you needed to be rebellious to experience yourself?
And I don't blame my grandparents' upbringing on the choices that I made. Again, I think that I was young and I was stupid. And I just, I don't know, I just made wrong choices.
Yes. So this is so now just a quick question. I want to get back to your story, but knowing what you know about the way you move from drug to drug, what do you think about all of the efforts now to legalize marijuana? You think that's a good thing, or?
Well, I think it can be beneficial for the people that really need it. Like if you do have a
Medicinally, for medical purposes.
For medical purposes,
But not for recreational.
not for recreational use.
But you do believe that it then led you to crack cocaine?
I don't know that. I don't know that it led me to. I just think the crack was brought into the situation, and it was just something that we tried. And after you try it, you become dependent on it, and so that's what ended up happening to me.
You became dependent upon it, and then you became a seller, right?
Although they do say that cigarettes and then the marijuana
Right.
are gateway drugs that can lead to the progression, but for me, I think it was just, like I said, an experimentation.
So you're addicted to drugs, you need money for drugs, you start selling drugs.
So that happened years after, because in the beginning of that lifestyle, I could get, you can get drugs, from anywhere. And as the years went on and I began to get more dependent on the drug, that's when I started having to do things that I know that I should not have been doing in order to get the drug. But at that time, you're not really thinking about any of that. The most important thing is getting some more of the drugs so that you can relieve that feeling, that craving, that desire that you have for it. And so, yeah, I started shoplifting, and at one point, I started selling drugs in order to support my habit.
So now you're 24, and all of this, you have dropped out of school. You're living the life on the street, so to speak. At 24, now tell us. I know that this is very painful because I've seen, some of the video. I've read your book. This is very, very painful. You are passed out in a drug house, right? And tell us what happened.
So, Carol, I can remember, first of all, we had no business being in that building that we were hanging out in. I was supposed to go back home several months earlier, but I didn't. I stayed there because that's where I got my drugs from. And I remember the day of the fire when I had gotten into an argument with one of the ladies in the building, and she told me she wanted me to leave. And me and my boyfriend at the time, I told him that I was leaving. I'm done. I'm gone. I'm finished. I have to go. And he wanted me to get some rest. And so that's what I did. I lay down with him, and we were going to sleep. And one of the young ladies that we lived in the building together, she brought some drugs for me, and I smoked some of the drugs. It was crack cocaine, and I know now that she had drugs in that because I passed out. Because the last thing I remember, it was afternoon time, and then the next thing I know, I woke. Well, the reason that I woke up was because I couldn't breathe. I was choking uncontrollably, and for the first few minutes, I didn't know what was happening, other than the fact that I was in a room that was very dark, and it was very hot, like really hot, and it took me a few minutes to even try to comprehend on what was going on. And then when it hit me, it was like, oh my God, I'm in a fire, because it was so hot in the room that I couldn't breathe, and I couldn't get I couldn't focus as to how to get out of there. And so as I'm trying to find my way around the room, trying to find a window or trying to find a door, some way of us to get out of there, I couldn't. And at one point, I felt myself like I was passing out because the smoke inhalation alone kills many people.
Sure.
And so the fact that I just could not get out, I was trapped, I was scared, I was screaming, I was crying, praying, everything, asking God somebody to please help us. And at one point, as I'm in that dark room and I'm burning, I saw, like, as I'm looking down, I saw a shadow of a person running away. And I'm like, for a minute, I just stood there trying to figure out who was that and what was happening and why were they running away, and no one was coming to help us. But, I know now no one was coming to help us because they set that fire.
It was deliberately, purposefully set, and the fire marshals told you that in the hospital, with burns over a substantial part of your body.
Well, I have second and third degree burns covering 30% of my body.
Right, right, and to this day, the miracle is that you are here, because that could have been. That could have been it. And so you woke up in the hospital.
So I will never forget, like, first of all, when I woke up in the hospital, it was several weeks after the fire.
You were in a coma.
And I was just happy at first I was just happy to be alive because I thought for sure that we were going to die. And so, but in waking up, it was bittersweet because the first time I saw myself with these scars, I was like, my whole world had changed. Like, one minute I was Sherry, and then the fire happened, and then I was this Sherry. And, I didn't know how I was going to live the rest of my life, like, with scars, because up until that point, You've
been this attractive, socially acceptable, beautiful woman, right, making her way in the world.
I had never had a problem with feeling insecure up until that point.
Right.
And then, seeing myself with the scars, it was just, I was devastated.
I found it so interesting that you had been awake and recovering for a while, and your family had been visiting you before you looked in the mirror at your face, and you didn't. It had not occurred to you to look at your face.
So yeah, that was a wake-up call. I had seen the cast that they had on my arms, up and down my arms, and of course I could see my body, but it never dawned on me to look in the mirror that there was going to be scars on my face. So one day, my sister, actually the nurse had brought me a mirror in the room, and I looked in the mirror for the first time, and that's when I saw scars on my face. And I could tell you, like, it was a moment that it took everything for me not to drop down to my knees, because I knew then that my whole life was going to be different. The very first time I saw myself, I knew it.
So you would have the things to recover from, the actual physical, disaster of your body being wrecked by flames, by fire, and now you have this self-confidence, this inner feeling that how are people going to be reacting to you, the lack of self-confidence, and then recovering from the drugs as well.
Yeah.
So you had all of those things now to deal with, and what do you think it was that allowed you to deal with all of those things so magnificently, to become sober? What you said, 23 years now sober, to write a book, to talk about self-confidence, to go to college, to start your career. You got 2 degrees, became a social worker, and now you help other people. What do you think made you able to do that?
It couldn't have been anything other than the grace of God. Like, and my family, the love and support of my family being there to help me get through it all, because it has been a journey for me. It has not been easy. And, my sister was a big influence in my life, and after hitting rock bottom on the drugs, she had me to go into a residential substance abuse program. I was there voluntarily for 13 months. And, that was the beginning of me taking back my power over the drugs and all of the things that had happened to me while I was out there using drugs. And when I left the program, I left there with some of the most important things that I had lost, which was my pride, my dignity, and my self-respect. And then from there, but that's when the real journey began, because now I'm drug-free, the drugs are out of my system, but now I have to look at myself without the drugs and figure out, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? What am I supposed to do with the rest of my life? And so, I did go back to school after dropping out in the 11th grade, and I earned my bachelor's degree in human services. And then I went back to school and got my master's degree in social work. And getting into the field of substance abuse has been such a blessing for me, because it gives me the opportunity to see it from both aspects of living that lifestyle, and then now doing counseling.
Sure. So clients now who are fighting being addicted to drugs, and you can, I mean, you're the example of, look, this can be done. You can recover, and you can get on to a successful life.
Yeah.
You also have a website. Talk to us a little bit about that, because people who may not be, I know that you deal with people who come into a hospital and need counseling. You also have private clients, but those who cannot get to you personally can get to you online to talk about their issues.
Yeah, my website is IamSherryGravesUnveiled.com, and they can catch me on social media. I'm on Facebook as well, always talking about, substance abuse and overcoming your scars, and trying to, and also embracing your scars, because it took me nearly 20 years to be able to get to the place of accepting myself. And that happened after God put a book in my hands, and the name of the book was Your Scars Are Beautiful to God. And ever since I read that book, Carol, that's when I really stopped hiding from my scars. I had the feeling like he wanted me to know that my scars would provide healing to so many people. And so just being in the field and talking to people about embracing your scars, and, not putting so much emphasis on the fact that how we look, because first of all, God looks at our heart. And so I see a lot of beautiful people with an ugly heart and an ugly spirit. And so I just try to give them that, and let them know that we are loved just the way we are.
So we know that public acceptance to people with differences of all kinds, including people with scars, has increased, including some people who've been on the air, with various. We have a photograph of Winnie Hollow, who's a model, who has vertigo, and is very, very successful. And of course, Seal, with his traditional African scars, as we've known him.
Yeah.
Do you find in your own practice that people are actually more accepting, or is that still a tough?
Carol, for me, I think it's more when I started accepting myself, because I hid myself behind my scars for nearly 20 years.
When you say you hid yourself, what do you mean?
I mean, literally hid myself. Like, I would not wear short sleeve shirts. I would try to wear bangs to cover my face, or I wouldn't go outside exposing my scars for the world to see. And it wasn't until after I read that book when I started understanding that I need to learn how to love myself. This new self, this new body that I have, I had to learn how to love myself the way that I am. And for years I was worried about how people viewed me, and for years I would walk down the street with my head down and my eyes closed, because I wouldn't want to look anyone in their eyes. But we all have to just get to the place where we are comfortable in our skin. And I didn't do it by myself. It was just, like I said, by the grace of God that I was able to do it. But yeah.
Well, I was talking to your husband, Dorian, in the green room there. You guys have been together for
21 years.
21 years.
Yeah.
So, having a partner, is validating. Talk to us a little bit about that. So you were not going through the last 21 years, at any rate, alone.
Dorian is the love of my life. Like, after being in the fire, I never thought that I would get another man would be interested in me or love me. And Dorian has been there for me through this journey, through my many ups and downs. And, he accepted me at a time when I was like my most broken. And, he has loved me, and he has never made me to feel ugly, or he has actually helped to build me up. God put him in my life in order to help build me back up mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
I know, and he's very proud of you, by the way. But you say, and he's a chef, but you say he doesn't want to cook at home. So you have to do the cooking. But he's
going to get me for that one.
I know, but he's very, very, very proud of you.
Yes.
So let's talk about what your example means to young children, and I want to know what it means too for very young children, because what do you think would have stopped you in your tracks in the 6th grade as you began to play hooky from school? What?
I think education is key. Like growing up in school, they didn't talk to us about drug use, or they didn't talk to us about sex or anything like that. And so when you don't have that information, you can find yourself in these kinds of situations, because my curiosity, my impulsivity, those are the things that pushed me into those areas. And I think for the children today, parents need to educate their children and not be afraid to talk to them about drugs and about sex and about unhealthy relationships and all of that, because the more information that you give them, the more informed their choices can be. Because if they don't know about these things, then they're just out there listening to who? Friends or TV, and so they need to have that information, and the first place they need to get it from is at home.
When I was reading your book, I thought about the Me Too movement, and was wondering how that had affected you, because you were raped, but never told anyone.
Yeah.
And so what's your reaction to the Me Too movement now and that? Because people, your family, friends would say to you, why didn't you ever say anything? Yeah.
I understand the women that, and why women keep it a secret, because who wants to talk about that? Like, it can be very hurtful, it can be very embarrassing. People look at you, and sometimes the victim becomes the person that is, being blamed for these situations. And so I get it with why they take a long time before they, talk about these situations. But I'm so glad that we are at a place where we are today, and women are using their voices and talking about these things that they've gone through in order to empower somebody else. There are young teenage girls right now that are going through these situations and don't know what to do. And by the women speaking out about it now, they can know that we don't have to keep this a secret. This is something that we need to find someone that we trust and to share that information with.
So near the close of every program, and you'll have to come back, I hope.
Okay.
Because I have a feeling that it's going to be so fascinating to watch the rest of your journey. But we ask our guests to finish the statement, the strength and the power of Black America lies in. Where do you think that is?
It lies in every person using their voice and speaking up and letting people know the truth about what's going on. It's about sharing our testimonies boldly and not being ashamed, not being afraid of what people are going to say or how they're going to react to it, because that's how we connect with people when we, when we tell the truth. And it's about creating change. And the way that we do that is by speaking out and using our testimonies to empower people, educate them, inspire, and motivate them to speak up.
Right. And speaking of motivation, you're available to come motivate everybody who needs a boost, right? So
everybody, yeah.
You're on the speaking tour. You have the book. It's very, very moving. I encourage all parents, grandparents, to read this, because
thank you.
It's such a story of redemption and reclaiming one's life.
Thank you, Carol.
Are you living in Georgia now?
Carol, it's just been a blessing to come back to New York. I'm from New York,
right? Sure.
And so I'm excited about what God has next in store for me, for Dorian, for, you know, beyond your scars. And, you know, every day I live my life to give back because I know that he saved me for a reason. Like everything that I have gone through, the drugs and the, you know, the fire and the assaults and all of that, it's for me to be able to be a blessing to somebody else, to let them see that if he did this for me, if he saved my life, he can do the same thing for somebody else. And so every day, that's what I live my life to do, is to just be a blessing to somebody else.
Well, and you certainly are. Thank you so much, Sherry
Thank you so
Graves.
much.
Keep up the great, great, great work.
Thank
So proud
you.
of you.
Thank
so
you.
proud. And thank you all also out there for being with us today. The book is A Fire Within. Someone set a fire and left me for dead. Obviously not true. And thanks for joining us. We will see you the next time. I'm Carol Jenkins. The program is Black America.